Whispering Tactician back with another video. Before we move on, please consider dropping the video a like and subscribe for more similar content throughout the Euros as well. Okay, let's get into reviewing the actual game. And the game was very interesting, very tactical. As you can see on the screen, I have Chelsea starting 11. And Chelsea started with a back five. Chilwell and Reece James on the wing back positions, and then you had a centre back pairing of, centre back trio of Aspilicueta, Thiago Silva, and Rudiger with Mendy behind them. Now, this was very interesting because the midfield, there were only two midfielders, and now Chelsea kind of deviate sometimes from playing two midfielders, sometimes three, but they went for two midfielders this time, and they have done. It seems like a lot of the time when they have played Manchester City, their front three consisted of Mason Mount, Timo Werner, and Kai Havertz. Now, this was very interesting because they were extremely compact. I'll put some images on the screen now, but when Chelsea were defending, they had virtually everybody behind the ball. However, this front three, they were very important in what they wanted Manchester City to do. They wanted Manchester City to be extremely wide, but force them wide. They didn't allow Manchester City to play through the channels. Now I'll get Manchester City's team up in just a while, but I just want to emphasize the point about the formation for Chelsea before I move on to Manchester City. As I've just mentioned, their formation was very narrow, but in a way also very wide. Their wing backs were absolutely onto Manchester City's wide players. Now, this is another thing. It felt like Chelsea had a numerical advantage sometimes when they were defending because they had everyone behind the ball. It was very hard to play through that front three first and foremost, who were very compact. And also when you have the energy of Kante in there and Jorginho, who was very solid again, it was very hard to break down. This was how Manchester City lined up in the final. They had Edison in goal, Walk right back, Diaz, Stones, Zinchenko, Bernardo Silva playing in midfield with Gundogan and Foden, and then their wingers were Sterling, Mahrez, and then De Bruyne as a false nine again. Now this game, the way Manchester City lined up was very intriguing, very interesting, because they had no defensive midfielder. They had three players here, and again I'll put something up on the screen now, who would press very high, and City's line was extremely high. In this case, they essentially had no pivot player, and all their players would go out to press Chelsea when they were in possession. A very interesting tactic, and it worked in the first 15 minutes. City were very imposing. They had a lot of the ball. However, this was a very tactical game, and Tuchel came out on top, and I just want to explore exactly why. Now you'll see an image on the screen, which should be the goal, and this is exactly what Tuchel was banking on. The system was brilliant. The runs from the forwards were brilliant, because because as you can see on the screen, Mount receives the ball. At this point, Walker is not close enough to engage him. He starts to worry about Chilwell. Mount is now John Stones' man. John Stones has to go over and engage Mason Mount. However, you've got an even bigger problem. Zinchenko is meant to be marking Havertz, and Werner is meant to be, Diaz is meant to be marking Werner. And Werner essentially takes Diaz out of the game by making a run outside. He makes the run outside, and Zinchenko isn't alert enough to the danger of Mason Mount passing straight through to Havertz. He isn't alert enough, and this is the weakness in playing midfield sometimes at fullback. They don't have the defensive, brain. Sometimes it switches off, and this is exactly what happened. This is exactly how Manchester City conceded, because they were almost trying to play a lot of technical plays within this game. I know Zinchenko's been playing left back a lot recently, but he's actually a midfielder, an attacking midfielder who's been converted to left back, and that was the weakness within City's side. And on top of that, as you can also see, the players are very, very wide. Their defense are very, very wide as well. So it's very easy to run in behind the spaces and target the back four at this point in time when Mount has the ball. And as you can see, of course, Mount passes the ball through to Havertz after Werner makes the run. And it's basically a one-on-one at this point, and Havertz scores. And essentially that's how Tuchel tried to attack and beat Pep. It was always in transition, because in transition Manchester City can be caught out occasionally. And the game was very, very tactical. I would say Pep, I'm pretty sure one decision he would have maybe changed if he could have, if he wanted to play the final again, was to play Fernandinho or a Rodri, because this midfield three, they're not defensive at all. They're very offensive. You can play those against, the likes of Burnley or whatever. You can get away with it, but when you're playing in a final, I just don't think that was the best move to make. And I see the intention from Pep to press with this front six here. But it was very, very difficult without a DM to offer solidity behind these spaces here. And as you could see, none of this midfield three tracked back at any point. Why? Because they're not defensive minded, and that's the mistake Pep made, and that's how Tuchel exposed Pep. Now you'll see some other images on the screen as well, and I just wanted to highlight how City play as well. They almost play with a brilliant structure. As you can see now, Ederson has the ball. This is the phase in the game where he beat all players, and Sterling was almost one-on-one. Reece James got back, but it was brilliant because you could see Ederson had two passing options out. Then you can almost see like a midfield or three players in between the lines, and another another two players again in between the spaces, and then three players ready to receive at any time. Very wide again, very, very wide, and it's very interesting. This is a common trademark of Manchester City and the way they play. They're very, very structured, and Pep likes to, look at how to exploit spaces between the lines and have his players ready to receive the ball. But again, I'm going to show you another graphic where Tuchel plays with that narrow front three, and it just shows you at this point in time, as you can see on the screen, they have to pass wide. There's no space in between the lines, and that's almost Pep's worst nightmare. Even though his teams play very wide to tempt the fullbacks out, they would much rather play between the lines and destroy you that way. And the fact that he couldn't do that in the final screamed volumes of how well Tuchel managed that game. I think it was brilliant, a brilliant tactical final, and there might be a lot of battles between these two managers in the coming seasons, and the next season will be very interesting as well. And we'll see who comes out on top again. But anyway, thank you guys very much for listening to the tactical breakdown of the final. There was a lot more other things to consider here, but I didn't want to go too much into depth right now. I think, there were so many things you could have picked up on and stuff. It's very interesting. This is why I love football anyway. But if you have enjoyed the video, please drop it a like, subscribe. Similar content, like I said, is coming. We're going to be